Alright, hi everyone, welcome to today's video. On the day it's being recorded, it is Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. I am on my way to work. Even though I'm normally not supposed to, well, technically it would be my day off. That's what I'm trying to get at. So yeah, I picked up yesterday too, and it was a nightmare. Let's just say that. God damn. I honestly hope that today's a bit better. Honestly. If I can at least get today to be better, then I think we're gonna have a good night. So I originally was recording a video on the way to work yesterday, but I decided to stop like almost halfway there because I ran out of damn storage. I was like, God damn it. So yeah, here we are. I'm gonna have to so yeah. And do I remember what I was talking about yesterday before I got interrupted? Probably. I actually don't remember. Oh yeah, Washington, D.C. Yep, I remember now. So, yesterday, before I left for work, and, what I was talking to myself about, even before recording, I was thinking that sometime in the distant future, hopefully before the next decade of the 2030s, so at some point in the current decade of the 2020s, or of what's left of it, I could spend a 2-week vacation and go to Washington. So I'm going to kind of briefly go over all the times I have been to Washington. I've only been to Washington twice. It's Washington, D.C. because I'm closer to D.C. than Washington State, because, I live here in Ohio. And honestly, I probably get tired and bored of Washington State, if I'm being brutally honest. I mean, I would like to see the nature out there in Washington State, but in actually, if I'm gonna go to anywhere with Washington as the name, I'm going back to DC. So anyways, I've been to Washington, DC twice in my entire life. The first time was a family vacation in early spring of 2005. I was somewhere between 4 to... Okay. Someone was being a dumbass, huh? So yeah, so the first time I was there, it was early spring of 2005. It was a family vacation. It was, I think it was spring break, if I recall correctly. And, yeah, I think we stayed at some hotel in Maryland, maybe. I honestly couldn't even tell you, because it was well over 20 years ago. But yeah, we saw, I don't remember what exactly we saw, but there is some photographic evidence of what we did. We definitely were outside the White House, so we were on the part of Pennsylvania Avenue, on the, what is that, the South Lawn. Let's see here. We went to the Washington Monument. We definitely went to the Lincoln Memorial. We went to the National Zoo. And as far as I can remember, the Natural History Museum. You know, the one where you walk in and there's this big giant ass elephant as soon as you walk through the door. That was all I remember. And plus there was, there was obviously, photographic evidence of that trip. So that was 2005, which was when, that was during the time of the second term of George Walker Bush, the 43rd President of the United States. That served from 2001 to 2009. And was probably our last good, decent Republican president we ever had. Yeah, I know, hot take. I mean, W wasn't, he wasn't a good president, but he was decent and mediocre at best. But he was, compared to our current Republican president, W was definitely better than the Cheeto Man. I will say that. But then again, I don't really remember much of the early years of W's presidency. Because I first started caring about national politics and started watching State of the Union addresses probably around 2007. Because definitely when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House for the first time, like right around there. But yeah, that was the first time I ever went to Washington. It was spring in 2005. And we were probably only there for a couple days, so like probably 3-4 days, maybe. I don't know. It was something like that. Fast forward to God, probably, what was that, 12 years? Yeah, fast forward 12 years later, the 2017. That was the second and most recent time I went to Washington. And it was a summer camp trip with my scout troop. Although we started out at Gettysburg in Pennsylvania for like 3 or 4 days. And then when we were going from Gettysburg to Washington, we decided to stop over at Mount Vernon. And, you know, go visit the estate of George Washington, which I thought was very fitting before going into Washington. This was June of 2017. So, yeah. Oh, lady, I don't know who the hell you are. I'm not going to say hi to everybody, 'cause I don't know who you are. I have very little trust of the human race. If I know you or have associated with you once before, then sure, I'll say hi. If not, then I don't know you. I won't speak to you. Unless if I'm in a work uniform and I've never associated with myself to you before, then I will, because I have to. Other than that, no. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But, God damn it. Oh yeah, Gettysburg. Okay, so it was about June of 2017. So it's probably about this time of year in 2017. It was about 7 years ago. Actually, no, probably more like 8, actually. No. Yeah, technically it would be. Going on 8 years. Alright, so yeah, we went to Gettysburg. We spent a couple days down there, which was kind of cool. But I wasn't really fully, like, I thought Gettysburg was cool, but I mean, it's like Whoopi, a battlefield. I mean, it's cool, but, you know, it wasn't, you know, technically cool. I mean, you know, it's cool for being a history buff, you know, like myself, but you can only handle a battlefield, especially certain parts of the battlefield, you know, for so long. So yeah, that's when I pretty much was like, okay, cool, I'm ready for the second half of the trip when we're going to Washington, because then I feel important. So anyways, the day we left Gettysburg, we made a stop over to Mount Vernon. You know, we went on to the Washington Estate, you know, overlooking the Potomac River to where DC was, you know, in Virginia. Okay. So, yeah. We paid our respect. I'm pretty sure we went to see his body in the crypt at his estate. I'm pretty positive. Which, by the way, I should also mention, that yeah, by the way, I should definitely mention that for that whole Gettysburg, DC trip, I was deemed the picture guy because, you know, that's the summer where I just turned 18. I officially became an Eagle Scout literally days before I turned 18. And yeah, I was an adult. It was the summer going in between my junior and senior years of high school. So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much on vacation. I'm just gonna enjoy myself and be on vacation. And was really the last major big trip I took with Dad. If I'm being brutally honest. So, yeah. Okay, so what did we do while we were in Washington? Well, we took 2 separate tours of the Capitol building. We did a lot of sightseeing, you know, around the areas that is considered the federal district, I guess you could say. So we were on Pennsylvania Avenue. We went to the White House, the Treasury Department, the Agriculture Department. Let's see here. Any other federal department, federal agencies? Oh yeah, we saw the IRS building. We saw, obviously, the Capitol, all of the congressional office buildings. But, you know, obviously on the only on the House side, not on the Senate side. Of course, we saw the Supreme Court building. We saw the Library of Congress. I think that's it for the federal agencies. And then we went to quite a few memorials and monuments. We went to the Martin Luther King Memorial, and we saw the Jefferson Memorial across the Potomac, the Washington Monument, the World War II Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, the Vietnam Memorial, which, yes, the wall. The Lincoln Memorial, the Reflecting Pool, I think that was it, because we were just doing a lot of sightseeing practically. And well, we also did some museum seeing too, but the rule was that we only had time to go to only 2 museums. So we all picked a museum. We all picked 2, and whichever one had, whatever the top 2 were the museums that we would go to. My choices were, of course, Natural History and the American History Museum. Not necessarily in that order, but those were my top 2 that I wanted to go to. Well, 1 to 2 were satisfied by me. It's 8 o'clock, huh? So we ended up going to Natural History, but we also went to Air and Space, which is definitely in my top 5 museums that I would love to go to. But, you know, like how I already mentioned, it wasn't my first choice. So, yeah. Alright, we're gonna end this off right here, and we'll be right back for part 2. Because, you know, I gotta make sure I have enough storage on my phone to record more and, you know, all that. That way I can have some, you know, more footage of me walking to work or whatever and have something to talk about. Alright, so we'll continue this conversation and this topic in the next video. Hopefully. Part 2 should be coming out soon. Alright, we'll see you then.